7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You'll never have the sacred stone.
All right, welcome back to the Vegas Squares Golf Betting Podcast. We are back here in the virtual Zoom studio. We've got myself, we've got Tony Johnson, and we've got John Parr back. No token Tony this week, fresh off of, I think Nate Lashley hit him in the head with one of his wild putter shots there. And so Token's taking the week off. But I will give kudos to Token for even having Lashley in contention there. So, gentlemen, did we enjoy Pebble? I mean, I know that we talked about how the lack of the Pro-Am, the lack of celebrities. I thought we still had a very interesting weekend there, in my opinion. I mean, we had Jordan Speith back atop the leaderboard, and then, of course, Daniel Berger, the guy I'll let John touch on this, the guy we swayed him away from in his one and done, ends up taking the title.
Yes, and that's how fickle all of these these betting fantasy or even props or it's so fickle because it just your mind gets the best of you sometimes, especially where golf you never really have a clear favorite. But as far as Pebble Beach is concerned, boys, I feel like I have a lot of egg on my face with. I've been fading Koepka and Spieth for a while, and obviously it's turned around. However, we did have Koepka and Spieth. They both had sort of a bad run, but when you're gambling on it and when you're fading guys,
I was going to say for 3 years you were fine.
Yeah, exactly. Once they turn it on, it's time to flip right on back.
Yeah, time to stop. Yeah, that's a good point. But Jordan Speith 2 weeks in a row here. Like I said, he was in contention at the Waste Management, kind of fell on Sunday, and then back again with the 54-hole lead at Pebble, Tony. And actually shot 2 under par, but, just people shot better. But, like he said, fading Speith for 3 years has probably been pretty profitable. It may be time to put the brakes on that. But, just your thoughts on Pebble and how you did recapping, your betting at Pebble this weekend.
Yeah, no, I'll say first, I thought the podcast in general, I thought we had a lot of really good spots, a lot of really good picks. I mean, I think we, all of us at least had at
Token
least one player.
McNeely.
Yeah, McNeely. I mean, I had Russell Knox, so I think we had a legit chance really to win. And a lot of good picks. Certainly Streelman, had a really nice week. One of John's guys, and I just thought. I thought we did a really nice job overall, and it doesn't always happen that way. Sometimes, one person seems to have a good spot, other person doesn't. But,
right.
Yeah, it was unfortunately a mixed bag. Went 2 and 3 in the matchups and struggling with these single rounds, having, one bad round, it seems like either the second round or the fourth round, the 2 times that you don't really want to have a bad one.
Right.
Obviously, missed out on all the futures. But, yeah, it was I think you said it best, Aaron. I thought it was a very entertaining tournament, and most of the top end favorites were at least there or close to at the end. Certainly, I thought Patrick Cantlay certainly had a chance to win. That whole time too towards the end. And him and Spieth both played very well on Sunday. Just didn't make anything, especially in the back nine. So many good putts I thought they rolled and just didn't go in. So I really thought the difference from Spieth last week for 2 weeks ago to last week was very, very big. I thought he played well, as you said, on Sunday. He was 2 under, and he could put himself in a lot of good spots to be even further under par. Whereas previous at Torrey, I just didn't think he really played well. He wasn't in it. So totally agree that was definitely a rising spot there. And again, the last point I'll make, that John talked about is I do think that there's this big difference between Koepka and Spieth. Again, Spieth has had, as you said, 3 years really of subpar play, where again, Koepka, I thought just had a relatively poorish year for him last year, although he did contend in a major and almost won one. But he was hurt.
He had some
knee injury. So I think it was more based on an injury than anything else. But yeah, I mean, it's not like something I want to be betting on Spieth now, because I think numbers wise, it's pretty fair based on if he's going to play at this level of this quality level. He certainly isn't, hands down a better candidate or a better player than Colin Morikawa right now. And that's the thing, is that have we gone too far here? I'm seeing Morikawa numbers that are, you get longer odds on somebody like him versus Spieth. And I think we need to take another step back and understand that there are still some great players that, might be affected here. And so what can we do with Jordan Spieth, being better? Because if someone rises, with odds, and somene's going to, there's going to be a detraction somewhere else. Yes. So that's kind of where I'm at here. Not to say I'm trying to fade Spieth at all. No, not in the least, but I think there might be some other guys that will hold some value going forward.
Well, John, I think the thing with that is that Tony just touched on his liability with Jordan Spieth. I mean, 2 weeks ago, he was 100-1. We talked about it on the podcast. We kind of, dabbled on him, kind of made fun of the fact that he was. And then I'm sure the books were puckering up for that one when he took the tee on Sunday. Same thing again. Now, I mean, you said he is 40-1 on DraftKings. I got him 33-1 here at the Genesis. 33-1, still behind Morikawa at this spot on William Hill. But I think the big thing with Spieth, because of I would say in the golf world, Spieth's name recognition is still more than Morikawa. No disrespect to him, but I think it's liability here in the spot. Why he's moving up so fast. Maybe these aren't his true numbers. Just like we really never got Tiger Woods' true numbers for better part of a decade.
Everybody loves Spieth too. He's a great guy for the tour. Maybe that's our new Captain America. If he could come back, and that shot on what was it, 16, where you hold out and he's just yelling at the ball the whole time.
Yeah,
that's hilarious, and it's great for golf too. How he just talks to the ball all over the golf course and with such passion as well. I think he really feels he might be able to have a little control over that ball when it's in the air. Which maybe I should try that sometime.
Don't we all? Yeah, don't we all want to think we have control of the ball? But I know Token's not here. I'd like to give him a shout out. Nate Lashley. I know he didn't bet it, but he did throw it out there in his long shots last week. And he's like, I'm not going to bet this one, but if I were going to bet, I'd bet Nate Lashley. So your thoughts on the course etiquette? I know we've talked about some of these things with Rahm and with Patrick Reed and stuff, but I've never seen – I've watched a lot of golf, but I'm still necessarily a casual fan. I've never seen a guy take it out on the green right there. That was in me a little bit uncalled for.
Yeah, that was wrong. No question about that. I don't think anybody can, defend that action, no matter who you are. And Nate, made a comment afterwards. I don't know if it was just on Twitter, but that's where I read it. Where he really felt bad about it, and it was, an in the moment, type of angry thing. And it's again, I'm not making an excuse, for it certainly, but. Yeah, it's not something you want to see. And again, I don't know much about, Lashley. He seems like an interesting fellow, and I know he had a really massive loss in his life. He lost his wife, at a very, very young age, and he's recovered from that, and won wire to wire in Detroit a couple of years ago. That crazy, 20-something under thing. He's a likable guy that when he gets it going, he is very, very difficult to stop. And I think, one of the things that I kind of like about it is that there's not a lot of guys that play the game like he does still. He is a very old school, kind of hits low draws, like what the great players in the 1960s kind of did. It seems like a guy that John would get behind, one of those just old school
Tim Clark kind of guys.
Yeah. He just hits low draws. Like there is no fade in the book for Nate Lashley. So it's kind of fun. And when he gets it going, it's just it's fun to watch. But I really thought that was it was his tournament, to lose seemingly, and I think he must have thought that too, because obviously that blow up on the green there, after 4 putting or whatever it was, and then taking it out on the green. It's unfortunate to see. Again, I'm not going to come down, too hard on guys. It was obviously clearly an angry type of moment. I've seen them before. I've been to quite a few tournaments, and I've seen guys, not a lot of stuff gets on TV, comparatively speaking, of course, if you're not near the lead. And I've seen guys, do and say sometimes odd, crazy things, but he just happened to be, near the lead, and it was a camera moment. So it's too bad, but I'm not going to, hold it against him, if you will. It's just one of those things. I think it just kind of happens, and it's unfortunate, but we move on.
And I don't know of the rule or anything, but do you feel there should have been any penalties assessed in that? I mean, you are messing with a big chunk of of land that affects the, I know there wasn't anybody behind him, but you're still messing with, it could set a stage maybe, John, that we're letting this go, even though there was no real consequences.
You're also setting a tough precedent. It's just one of those things too, where you're
especially what we did with Maverick McNeely.
Yeah.
I mean, the little baby penalty there.
Right. These they're going to have to have referees out there because who knows what goes on off camera as well that we don't see, right? But let's get back to Lashley. How about this? It's the POA greens that were messing with his mind, I guarantee.
Yeah.
And this is we should have more of this on the PGA Tour where you have things like POA greens. I remember Jack Nicklaus tried to, at the Memorial one year, have triangle-shaped teeth on the rakes in the bunkers. So whenever a ball would go in the bunker, a greenside bunker, where these guys are phenomenal getting out of up and down, it would either sit down or you might have a good lie, you might have a bad lie, just depending on how it went in. Oh, the guys go crazy. So I sort of like it when you have something a little bit unique to a course. Imagine these guys playing Wolf Creek, which is a beautiful golf course in Mesquite, Nevada. They would hate it just because I don't know if either of you guys have played it, but it's like golden tee. And I would love
it with you.
Oh yeah, you did, didn't you?
Yeah.
And I would just love seeing these PGA Tour guys on a course like that.
Yeah, that's a frustrating day. I can tell you that.
Target golf is not my jam. I've heard of Wolf Creek and I looked at it. Courses like that, I am also not on that train.
It's more for a novelty than anything. That course, it's funny. There's a little runway right beside the putting green.
It's an airport there.
The driving range. It's just like a small airport. So I just imagine, these guys coming from wherever in their country on their private jet, flying in.
Oh yeah.
Hopping off with their bag, going right up to the first tee.
That's pretty cool. That is pretty cool.
It's right there,
awesome.
man. It's right there, and it's. I would love to see that.
Yeah. Last thing about Spieth, I kind of want to segue this into Rory McIlroy's achievement this year is, Spieth was on this board, the Player Advisory Council for the last 3 years. That may have contributed to his lack of winning. Who knows? But Rory McIlroy will take his spot next year. But do you think maybe that just the distractions from Jordan Spieth? I know it's been 3 years and it's only been 2 weeks, but maybe just getting rid of all the distractions from him. He's part of that. That new guard of Justin Thomas's and the guys like that were the next big thing coming up, and they were the I don't remember if they had a name or anything, but you know what I'm talking about. They're almost like the frat boy kind of, the Rat Pack kind of there. So when Jordan was winning everything, he was at the center of this group, and now that he's not, the spotlight's gone, the priorities and the obligations are gone. Maybe we can look at Jordan Spieth going forward. He's got to win. He's got to win this year for any of these last 2 weeks to matter.
I couldn't agree. That was the point I was going to make. Exactly what you said, Aaron. I think he has to cement it and has to get back in the winner's circle. That would do it. Yes, it's great to be close, but we've seen what's happened with guys like, again, I hate to make this comparison, but a guy like Tony Finau, who's so crazy, insanely talented, and such a great player. And the fact of the lack of winning is will be the biggest burden of his entire career. Again, whether he ends up winning some tournaments here, in his mid to late 30s and on, and maybe a major, that would be great. I hope he does. But it's still, how many years he went at the, probably near pinnacle of his golfing, life existence, and without winning. So yeah, I agree with you. I think seeing a win from Spieth would certainly do it. And yeah, I don't know about the council thing is interesting. To me, the only thing I'm pleased with is that at least there's somebody that's a non-American that's there, because I think this tour's become
first time ever.
Yeah, it's become such a worldwide tour, and has been now for obviously many years, and they're even playing in so many places outside of the United States, that I just think it's been necessary for so long. So so that's good. That was good to see, but. Yeah, I don't know. That's an interesting point you bring up, how much, did it take away? And I know those four guys, and Charlie Hoffman touched on it too, is also on the board, of how much time it took last year, trying to figure out with all the COVID type of stuff and, how the season would unravel, that it took quite a bit of time. And, Charlie's a good guy, and he's a really fun follow too, as well on his social media spots, that he said it took a lot of time from his practice and from, his routine. And he said, all of that aside, I was the worst player I have been on tour in many years, and
There you go, maybe
anything but myself. So yeah, it was just kind of a funny thing that, yes, while it's true, it did take away from stuff. He's, classic Charlie Hoffman, still kind of blamed himself for everything. So
yeah, he'll be on the board with Hoffman, James Hahn, and our boy Kevin Kisner next year. So yeah, I'm kind of curious that this appointment to the board. I wonder how much he can be a mouthpiece for these distance controlling measurements they're going to try to put into place at the RNA and the USGA. I wonder how much, because Rory's never afraid to speak his mind.
Oh yeah, but it's always with he speaks very eloquently for the tour. It's perfect.
Sure, that's fine. Maybe that's the way to go.
And he he hasn't really made any mistakes, and not I feel like the PGA Tour hides the players' mistakes pretty good as well. I would imagine they instead of hearing it and bad publicity and whatnot. But getting back, I really wanted to comment on Aaron's take on the Rat Pack of golf. I love that. So we're talking. It was Jordan Spieth, Justin Thomas, Ricky Fowler.
Thank you.
I think Smiley Kaufman was somehow in that crew at one time, and then
he was.
He was like sort of in that crew. But how about this? I know Ricky would be a dog in this, but a good question would be, who do you think is going to end up with more accolades at the end of their career, Spieth, Fowler, or Thomas? I think Spieth has done a little bit more than Justin, but I think the upside with Justin is huge. And, Ricky won the Players' Championship.
Yeah, Justin Thomas has won, 2 majors? Jordan's won 3. So, yeah, if Jordan never wins again, it's probably going to be Justin Thomas. But you got to think if Jordan can get back to, I don't know. What's the best Jordan Spieth can play right now? It seems like he can win tournaments with pretty putrid fields, to quote John Parr as of last week.
Putrid.
But, do you think he really has – and I know we'll get into this. Do you really think he has a shot even at 33-1 against – look at the freaking stacked lineup against him this week.
That's a big thing. And look at what DJ has been doing the last few weeks. It's just if he's in the field – you might go in not feeling like you have a shot right now. I would love to see Koepka come back and start playing like DJ, and we have that rivalry for a couple of years. Those two guys winning almost every tournament they play in. That'd be great to see.
The best thing about that rivalry is if DJ started chirping back, because if Koepka's playing well again, he'll chirp a little bit. But,
maybe quietly, but yes.
Oh, I love him. Well, I don't need any more friends.
He chirped at him at PGA. Remember, and he got smacked in the face about that. So.
Oh, you're talking about Koepka. I thought you said DJ is going to chirp back.
Well, I'm saying if Koepka starts chirping again, then to make a good rivalry, DJ needs to chirp back.
I don't think it's not his style. He doesn't.
I think he just puts his arm around Paulina and be like, scoreboard.
That's that seems more his style. I agree.
Not that Brooks Koepka's wife or girlfriend's, anything, anything awful either.
Their girlfriends are probably mortal enemies.
There you go. They're probably clapping each other on Twitter and TikTok and stuff. I'll tell you what, though, Jordan Spieth, if he wants to make a career out of maybe, something respectable, just go and win the John Deere Classic every year. Why not?
Great tournament. It's a hell of a good tournament. Yeah.
Maybe Tony Finau should do something along those lines too. So
that would be, for Tony's sake, just a win anywhere around the world, I think would be big. Yes, even in the European Tour, something like that. I'm expecting Tony, actually, as funny as we brought him up, that he will start taking a few more shots in Europe and maybe on the Asian Tour, something like that. It's a way to, obviously you can make a little bit of extra money, an appearance fee and such like that. But I think getting in a lighter field and being able to win, even abroad, which is not necessarily always the easiest thing to do, in unfamiliar places. But I think that he'll be doing more of that as his career goes on here over the next couple of years would be my
Well,
guess.
plus, correct me if I'm wrong, don't those guys get like appearance fees for going to some of these tournaments too?
Yeah, he'll get. Oh, for sure. Yeah, he'll get some. I mean, it depends on the tour, what it is, but yeah, I mean, obviously the Asian tour / Japanese tour.
What
And
was
the
that
European
tour
now.
in Saudi Arabia? Was that the European tour?
Yeah, European tour, exactly.
I
Oh
think
yeah.
it came out. The DJ got like $3.5 million just for showing up. Oh, by the way,
Yeah.
he won it too.
Oh, it's pretty amazing. Yeah, I think they paid like 6 Americans because even Kokrak got a few dollars. So Kokrak, our guy, yeah,
Our guy
So,
Kokrak.
yeah, he's a good guy. So it was kind of fun to watch him sort of stumbling around out there, making some birdies and trying to hang around. He's an enjoyable guy to watch. I like him.
Make a birdie, take a shot. That's Jason Kokrak. So,
That looks like something that would be up his alley. Yes.
So, all right. Speaking of our guy here, I know this is John's guy, Philly Mickelson. We talked about this last year before we had you on, John. So I really just want to hear your take on this. Token, Tony, and myself all said that instead of really maximizing his value or lack thereof on the PGA Tour anymore, I think his new talent really is behind the mic, and he showed that at the U.S. Open. So I think a little bit of Champions Tour sprinkled in, maybe a one or two, hellos at the PGA Tour, but I think we got a future with Phil Mickelson in broadcasting, and it came out today that he's weighing his options as a broadcaster, maybe not this year, but coming next year. I mean, I think it's a slam dunk that he should do that, and I think it's a slam dunk that he'll excel at it. I think we all did. So basically, I really want to get your take on this before we move into the Genesis Invitational.
I don't think it'll even be close, honestly. I think he needs to go. It's time. He's had his swan song. He played well late in his late 40s. I don't know the last time he won a major. I guess it was the British. He probably was 40, 44 years old, something like that. 40, 43, 44.
That was like 14, right? Wasn't it?
Yeah. And so it's been a few years for him, and, he's not going to come back. And I really want him to go play a little, the main tournaments on the Champions Tour and be sort of a spokesman for the Champions Tour. But being behind the mic, he has so much knowledge. And if you've seen his video, the short game video, and, if you watch him on Faraday, I thought it was so funny watching him on Faraday where he was going through, he was talking about his yardages, and he'd say, okay, it's 8 o'clock in the morning, this much dew on the ground. Okay. But I'm taking off this much percent. All right. I'm adding this much percent for the wind. I'm taking off this much percent for this. He knows so much about the golf swing, and he also is the best trash talker on tour. He's been doing it for years, right? Everybody knows him as one of the best trash talkers, and he's always, we all love this. He's a gambler on the golf course, $100 Phil, and he would be great for TV. I would turn it on and watch every time he was on, for sure.
Yeah, I remember watching him in the match. I think it was the last one with whichever one Brady and Manning was in the pouring down rain. And just the way he was able to take an average golfer like Tom Brady and show him, hey, hit the ball right there. And even Justin Thomas, I think it was Justin Thomas or Jordan Spieth who was the on-course commentator.
It was Thomas. Yes.
Thomas, yeah. And he was like, and they asked him about, how Mickelson's able to do this with an amateur golfer. And Thomas was like, I'm just dumbfounded. He's the best. He can find you the exact spot where your ball needs to, impact the ground or impact the club. And it's just like, you're right. I think all of that knowledge for the next, 30 years or so, if he wants to do it, I think it's a no-brainer, 100%.
That's the question, is the motivation. I mean, because he's always been such a very family-centric guy, and he's had a lot of other interests outside of golf. I can't see this as being a full-time kind of gig. And then add to that, the salary that he would command. This is not, Nick Faldo. Nick Faldo's a big name, and and he makes quite a few million a year. Phil Mickelson is the biggest name besides Woods. I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure who's gonna pony up.
Is he not worth it? You think maybe?
I don't know. Then we're getting into the business side of things, and I'm not really sure how that all works. But especially when he's not going to be I can't fathom him being a full-time guy. It just. I don't know. I don't know. It's you don't see a lot of because he's one of the all-time greats, clearly. But how many of those guys really do TV or, go into a gig, outside of being a professional, great player, for full time type of thing. To me, it seems unlikely. But yeah, will he be somewhere, or maybe he'll, do, the majors, whatever network carries or something like that.
He seems like a Fox guy. He
Absolutely.
feels like a Fox guy. Stick him with Joe Buck, not too serious. Put the shot tracers on. He just feels like a Fox guy.
Well, I don't think Fox is involved anymore, right? They've rid themselves, I think, of that contract. So I don't think Fox is involved. So
that's quite unfortunate.
Yeah, it would have to be. NBC, CBS.
I loved Fox. They were the first people to show the shot tracer every single time. I remember at Chambers Bay when Jordan Speith won, when we were watching that. Yeah.
They fucked that course so badly. Well, it was that when I was working in the industry, that the management company that owns Chambers Bay is what I worked for, and so it cost $6.5 million to make that course back whole again after they fucked that thing up badly. That was a tragedy. What
happened exactly?
Because
they
burned it out for
out.
3 weeks. Yeah,
man. And listen, I remember watching it at the
horrible.
U.S. Amateur. I can't remember who won the U.S. Amateur when I was there, but it played so much better. And it was
way different.
Yes, it played so much better. And I was really surprised. And I can't believe you mentioned it, because I was surprised how when I was watching it at U.S. Amateur, you would have to hit the ball 40 yards right and roll it up to the green and roll it past the pin on a big hill on the green.
It's a cool course. It's amazing. Really fascinating.
And I was so excited to watch Chambers Bay.
That's the one in Washington, right?
Yes.
And I was so excited to watch, but it didn't play the same as when the U.S. Amateur was there, and I was sort of upset. But it was good to see Spieth win. I love that. I love that putt. It was like on 17. It was like 40 feet. Just drains it for the win, basically. But
all right, well, let's turn the page on Pebble here and talk about the new tournament this week, the Genesis Invitational from Riviera. I know this is, like you said, with just judging by the field, this is one that's, we're going to get a star-studded event here. They all like this course. Colin Morikawa has just been heaping praise on this course all week, saying at first he didn't really particularly love it, but now he's almost fallen into one of his favorite courses to play. But we have DJ as the favorite at 5-1. Jesus Christmas. But after DJ off a bye week is like Andy Reid, it's just, how do you go against the guy? So we're going to take a quick commercial break, just a couple of minutes. On their side, we're going to get a course outline from the man himself, Tony Johnson. We're going to get into this preview show, give you our bets, give you our picks. Token is not here, but we do have a daily fantasy lineup for you as well. So just on the other side, we'll be right back, just a couple of minutes.
Welcome to MyBookie. You're ready to create an account and start making money, and we're here to help. And remember, you can get a bonus of up to $1,000 on your first deposit. Now you're ready to bet. Just go to mybookie.ag, visit the sportsbook, click on your bet, and input the amount you want to risk or win in the bet slip. Yes, it's that easy. Just remember, at MyBookie, you play, you win, you get paid.
At Amazon, we're pretty good at getting things done. We're pretty good at solving problems. COVID-19 is the biggest challenge we've had to face. But challenges are what motivate us. Like flying masks to our employees around the world. We're doing everything we can to get you what you need, and doing everything we can to keep our people safe. I'm former Navy pilot Sarah Rhodes, and I'm proud to lead our Amazon Air network.
All right, and we are back with the Vegas Squares Golf Betting Podcast, talking Genesis Invitational from the Riviera Country Club, or Golf Club, however you say it. Where is it? The Country Club or is it the Golf Club?
I think it's Country Club.
Country Club?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
There you go. Riviera Country Club in Pacific Palisades, California. We got a major-like field here, Tony, and we get a course that, like I said earlier, on the other side, a lot of these golfers love. We get 8 of the top 10 here in this week's 120-man field. So let's see what they're up against.
It's a major-like course as well, Aaron, and that's the great thing about it. It is one of the true beauties out there, and it's one of those I have visited. I didn't get to see it in its sunlight, beautiful glory. Unfortunately, it was a rainy day, but oh my, what a day it was. It was about 10, 11 hours of just awesomeness. It's one of the best courses I've ever been on, maybe somewhere in the top 3. I really, really, really enjoyed it. So I totally get where Colin's coming from, but yeah, Riviera's been around a long time. I think it's since about the 1930s or so. Very classic, old school track. It's one of those courses you would find in the Midwest, Northeast somewhere. It is very strange to see this kind of sitting where it is in Southern California, especially in the LA area, where courses don't tend to look like this very often with all of the undulation. But we'll get to that in a little bit. So as I said, tight tree-lined course, very old school. A lot of holes that go, dogleg both left and right. Need to have the whole bag here completely, and it's just an absolute monster. Par 71, 7,322 yards. If they wanted this to be in the major circuit, some sort of rota for the U.S. Open, which I know they've been talking about having, this would be a perfect fit because you could make this course, if you grew out rough. They've never grown out the rough here. If you grew out the rough and did some stuff around the greens, this would be par, a great score type of spot. Not only is it long and difficult, but it's also tough to hit fairways. Only about a 26 to 27 yard gap in the fairway from about 300 yards out. One of the tightest courses actually out there that they play regularly on tour. So accuracy, clearly a premium there. But not just, hitting the fairway. There are going to be some spots like we've seen, a little bit when we go to Hilton Head Island after the Masters where you can hit the fairway, but you can still be blocked out by a tree or, overhanging branches or something like that. And so you got to hit the ball to the right spot. A good course, I'm sure Phil Mickelson probably loves playing a course like this because it really is positioning more than anything else. And it's just we've seen a couple of guys that aren't long hitters win out here. James Hahn won here 3 or 4 years ago, actually beat DJ, I believe, in a playoff that year. And there was another winner from 10, 12 years ago that was a shorter hit. I can't remember. Was it Tim Clark? Somebody like that. Brad Faxton won here once or twice. But for the most part, it is a long hitter's paradise. Just because with 3 par 5s, only really one of them reachable for the entire field. The other 2 are really only reachable for the extremely long hitters. And it's tough. Greens are big, 7,500 square feet, but it's tough. It's tough to make putts. John alluded to this, beautifully earlier from last week. Is they're POA greens, just like we saw here at Pebble Beach, and it's tough. It's tough to get the ball in the hole, even from short distances. The ball bounces, quite a bit on these greens. It can be a level playing surface, but it's just the way the grass grows, especially as you get to the latter part of the day. We saw that on Sunday. With some of the leading groups, is once the grass gets a chance to grow a little bit, it becomes even more difficult. Greens do run about 12 on the stimp meter, relatively standard on tour wise. But again, touched on this shorter rough, only about 2.5 inches. Fairways and rough are both kikuyu grass, which we do only see for fairways and rough at Torrey Pines. And again, I think it goes without saying, I mentioned this before that time a couple weeks ago, that the Californian players or guys from maybe Oregon or Washington, and then added to that some of the Euros and especially the Australian players that are very used to playing on kikuyu grass. It's very common in Australia. I do think have an advantage here. Again, you only see this a couple of times a year. We've seen Australians do extremely well in those 2 events for that reasoning. So, yeah, I think that is definitely playing into at least my handicap. And then one of the things I think it gets talked about is people that don't realize they go to Augusta National, and you see it on TV. You don't realize the undulation. John brought that up. Last time we talked about the Masters, is how crazy the undulation is. And you don't really believe it until you're actually on property. This is the exact same thing to me. I've seen the course. I had seen Riviera quite a bit. It looked like there was some variant elevation changes. It's nuts. Walking this thing for like 10 hours is crazy. It is a crazy workout, and it's just a beautiful thing to witness. This is one of those full bag, need everything in the mix type of tournaments. I know we've seen some guys that have won that are not necessarily the longest type of hitters. I'm going to generally stay away from those guys, though. Even with that being said, just because the pedigree really is long and straight. And so while many of the, great long hitters tend to not be the straightest hitters, when they do put it together, those are the guys that win, consistently. Bubba Watson has won here, I think a couple of times. DJ's got a great record here amongst others. So, I'm going to generally stay there. There is one player that we will have on the long shots that is not a long hitter that I'm interested in. But other than that, it's we're going to be playing to the strengths. I think that course will show for the guys that are really on point this week.
Yeah, and the Genesis Invitational, home of one of my favorite golf watching moments 2 years ago when we watched JB Holmes take it down.
Yes, that was a good one. Yeah, right. Yeah.
I'm sitting in the sports book, and we were watching the tiniest TV in the corner.
That was a great moment.
With your, I think you had like 125 to 1.
Yeah.
And we couldn't even get it over. Like, there was some random dog shit sports going on that day, and we couldn't even get the freaking.
It was a weak sports day too. Yeah, we still couldn't get it on a big TV. Yeah, it was rough.
But you mentioned Bubba Watson, 3-time winner, 18, 16, and 14. So that's crazy. DJ has also won here before. And you mentioned
that goes into the elevation changes. Sorry to cut you off, Aaron, but that goes into the elevation changes that Tony's talking about. And they could bomb it up the hills. Look at 18 on Riviera. It's straight up that hill. And where, the shorter hitters might not they could get it up. The longer hitters can get it up and over to the hill and even hit it almost in a speed slot because of the trajectory of the ball and how high the elevation is. And there's a lot of that on this course, and that's why you always see these long hitters play here so well. Did we talk about 10 and how much we love hole number 10 on this course? It's something very unique to golf, and that Sunday pin position where it's a tabletop over there, and where do you hit it? I see most of the guys going for it now where they end up on the if the listeners aren't familiar with this hole, it is, do you remember the peninsula? I think it's small. It's way smaller than the peninsula at Phoenix, correct, guys? On 17 at Phoenix, the one that goes out on the backside of the left back of the green. It's got to be smaller than that, right, Tony?
Off the top of my head, I'm not sure on sizing, to be honest with you, John.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the Phoenix one in person either. I'm much better in person. I really am. I don't know. It's just one of my.
So how big is it in person?
That's what she said.
I mean, it's. If I remember correctly, again, you don't get that close of a look to that spot there on 17, but I mean, it's.
No, I'm talking about on.
10 on Riviera.
10, the par 4.
The 3, it's only 315. So
there's some space. I mean, there's pretty much a lot of space in a lot of these spots where you miss. The greens are huge. I mean, 7,500 square feet is really big. So there are spots to miss, but I know I know what you're referring to.
The tabletop is where it gets them every time on Sunday.
Yeah, that pin position. I do know the pin position you're talking about. It is very hard to get that close on Sunday. Yeah, there's a lot of guys that it's funneling back down, and you're still struggling to have, a 2-putt is still really good. You're right, John. Mm-hmm. It is a very, very cool pin location. I agree with you.
All right, fair. So let's move on into the futures market here and talk about, like I said, Dustin Johnson on William Hill is 5-1. That's the lowest we've seen, I think, in the last since the inception of the podcast at 5-1 here. You got Rory next at 10-1. So I have tokens picks as well. So I'm going to go ahead and give you his before I lean it to you guys. So he is going with our boy Billy Sizzle at 65-1. That is his only pick this week. So I guess he's putting all his eggs in the Bill Zalatoris basket here this week at Riviera. So, John, how are you feeling this week? I know that you've been a big Billy Sizzle guy. You talked about fading him last week. So you're double digits here. Who do you got in this futures market?
Yeah, well, let's just start with our boy Willie Sizzle. He's 90-1 on DraftKings, which is odd because, as you guys mentioned, he was a little bit lower on other sites. But this is one where I faded him last week just because he Pebble's a unique course, and so is Riviera, but I don't think as much as Pebble. But this is one of those where we're going to ride him for a few weeks, and if he doesn't produce, then when you're getting 90-1, come on, you can bet him 89 times, right? And win the 90th time and win $1, right? So we're going to go with him at 90-1, and then Jordan Spieth at 40-1. Some real good value over here on DraftKings, 40-1. That just for all the same reasons we talked about, and he's won before, guys. He's won a bunch. So I think he had a couple bad weeks, but when it seems like he's there. The only thing we talked about a little bit earlier, the field is so strong now. Where you got, gosh.
Well, that's the thing. This tournament will tell. We saw him in the Waste and we saw him in the Pebble. If Jordan Spieth is quote unquote back, this is a tough course with a tough field, and 40-1's fine.
Yeah, and here's the thing too. Maybe it's a spot where you're just going to go ahead and bet them, and maybe a top 10. Well, let me look this up right now. Maybe a top 10, top 20 type aspect. But I think he's back, guys. Mr. America, or sorry, Captain America. He's our new guy since we're trying to get
rid of Reed.
We're trying to impeach Patrick Reed out of Captain America office. But those are the two I got for the futures.
Absolutely, yeah. It's hard to argue with this. Again, I'm cautiously optimistic here because I think Aaron's point is interesting. This is a very big bear of a golf course, and it's the biggest field that we've seen in a while, and I'm just not sure where some of these guys stand. Jordan Spieth included. I'm pretty confident with a few guys, but there's some others here. And now we've seen Zalatoris' kind of odds, I think, get back more into a realm probably where they should be. And Abraham Answer, again, the same thing. He was in that 25 to 40 range, for so long, and now into that 60-ish, kind of spot. I think we're starting to see some more real numbers here. So that's good to see. Into my picks here, I have two guys at these numbers. One is, unfortunately, I can't say that I would be betting him now. This one I bet Monday when they came out, actually right here on William Hill, around 10 o'clock local time. One of those, I get up and I look at it because that's about when they come out on Monday. And every once in a while, I think they kind of make a mistake. And they did here with Patrick Cantlay. So I got Patrick Cantlay at 18-1, which was, I think, one of the best numbers around at that point. Really liked what we saw last week from Cantlay. Tee to green, the whole bag. It looked like he really had it together. And he faded a bit and had a rough second round, but he played actually really, really well in the third and fourth rounds. He was the best ball striker, through the bag on Saturday and Sunday statistically. He just didn't make anything, just could not make anything. And those are the guys that I want to be on. Those are the guys. So Cantlay was the best player in the tournament last week. I'm pretty confident in saying that. He just couldn't roll the ball in. And certainly, that's a big part of the game. I'm not saying he deserved to win, but the ball striking was there. So, this is a great spot for him. He's from the area. He grew up right down the street, really, actually. And I know he played here a lot as a junior. Another one of those guys that really likes the course. And it just makes a lot of sense. I think the fit's really, really good. So at 18-1, I grabbed him there. I know he's unfortunately 12 now, I believe, here at William Hill. Yeah, but I don't know if I can endorse 12. My number came in at 15, when I make numbers for a lot of these guys. So, again, I just took the 18. And then the second guy we talked about already, Colin Morikawa. He's dropped a little bit. So he, 28 here at William Hill. I think if you shop around a little, you can get a 30, even a 34. At a spot here in Las Vegas, maybe in John's DraftKings spot, he might actually have a better number than 28 as well. But yeah, I mean, even at 28, I think there's some value here. And as we've seen Morikawa, he's missed a cut, and he hasn't played all that well as the year has started. When these numbers start to drop a little bit, we've seen that with some of these great players throughout last year, and we saw that with John Rahm. We saw it with some other guys. They may not be 100% on their game, but all it takes is a few, quick fixes, a switch that comes on, a couple of putts that go in on Thursday and Friday. You get some momentum, and these guys are hard to stop. So I like Morikawa here a lot in that 28 to 34 range. And I will say this, DJ, there's a couple of great bettors, people that I follow. One guy that I talk to on a semi-regular basis that bet him pretty hard at Saudi Arabia. He opened at 6 in Saudi Arabia, and that was just a bad number. Again, I wish I had it. I did not. He closed around 4.5 or 5-1, ended up winning that thing going away. This is a bad number for Dustin Johnson. This is a really, really, really bad number. I cannot stress this enough. This is one of the better fields that we've seen, that we're going to see throughout this year, barring the majors and the big, WGC type of events. This is not a good number here at around 5-1 or whatever the case he is.
5-1. Yep.
Yeah, there's just too many great players. There's too many guys that are playing really well right now too. We've touched on Koepka now, finding his game, and Spieth, and a lot of these guys. You just can't sleep on a lot of these dudes here. And yeah, while the course fit makes a lot of sense, I know it's a bomber type of paradise, but 5-1 is no good. Absolutely no good.
Listen, it's DJ. Then you have John Rahm, Justin Thomas, Xander Schauffele, Colin Morikawa, Rory McIlroy, Cantlay, DeChambeau, and Koepka.
It's nuts. Yeah.
That is an amazing field. I'm really excited to watch this week. It's going to be a lot of fun.
And it's not like DJ is far and away, better on a course like this. The fit's good, but the fit is great for Justin Thomas. It's great for Rory McIlroy. Like these guys will play well here, and it's just I don't know. I think it's a really bad number. It's one of the worst numbers we've seen this year, in my opinion.
It'd be crazy to just pull out the big stick, the big D stick, and like the Bobby Digitals and have him miss the cut. What's that got to be right now? 10-1.
Ooh, that's a legit one. Yes, that would be a Bobby bet. Yeah, kudos to Bobby. He would do something like that in this spot here. Yeah, that would be kind of fun.
I was trying to find him real quick. I don't see him on William Hill to miss the cut, but maybe he's out there and somewhere in the betting atmosphere.
Oh, it's out there somewhere. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so two guys I'm on. I went a little deeper just in case, some of these guys, they don't play every week, so some of these guys may be struggling a little bit. Joaquin Niemann, I really liked him at 40-1 here. I think that he's quietly could be able to kind of tame this course. And then our boy Matty Fitzpatrick at 80-1. I'll take a flyer on him as well. So, all right, moving into the JB Holmes of the world. Speaking of JB Holmes, he's going off at 225-1. Tony, hint, wait. And I'll start here with Token Tony's long shot. And if you could guess who he took this week, I'll give you 3 guesses.
Well, I'm going to go with Charles Schwartzel.
That's a good guess, but
okay, that's too bad. I was confident in that one. That's unfortunate.
This guy, I would say, is Token's new Charles Schwartzel.
Oh,
is it Answer?
Fair enough. He's kind of fallen off answer.
Yeah, I know. Token has these. He gets these hard-ons for certain guys.
Yeah.
I don't mind that. I don't mind that when you're playing, especially when you're playing futures. If you feel like a guy's on the cusp, you could play him a few weeks in a row. Just because
25 if you're a Token.
Yeah. But once
he played Answer for what, 3 months?
Well, you like to see a climb. So a lot of times, they're missing cuts or whatever. Then they start, getting a couple top 25s. then a couple top 10s, then maybe like a 40, and then another couple top 10s. That's when you see people are grooving good, where they don't go back to where they're, every 2 tournaments they have at least, a 40th or worse. So I like riding people throughout, and see where it goes. But it also has to do with the course, as we've spoken about many times before.
Well, Token Tony's hard on of the month is Kevin Streelman at 125
Oh, he has been on
to 1.
Streels. You're right. Yes.
I liked him last week, at Pebble, because he's had a lot of success. But I'm off that train. It was a one and done for me.
So, yeah, Streelman for Token Tony and the long shots. John, what do you got here in these triple digits, these basement dwellers, as we like to call them?
I don't have any. I don't have any basement dwellers, not for Riviera.
I love that phrase. I love it.
not for Riviera, guys. This is a chalky tournament. We've seen it in the past few years. It's generally a big hitter that's been is a big name that wins this tournament, and it's tough, as we spoke about before, with all the big names we have.
Well, I have 2. So 2 in the double-digit side and 2 in the triple-digit side, and I'm hoping this is our JB Holmes moment here, Aaron. I think we got a chance here. This is a little bit similar to the Nate Lashley thing, and why I think Token's pick was so good last week. Not just because of the result, but he's such a streaky player, and he had played well at Torrey Pines until he faded a bit on Saturday. But Charlie Hoffman, he's finally, again, statistically, I looked pretty deep into his statistics the last 3 weeks. The ball striking numbers are there. They are not there like when, he had a really nice run, 4, 5, 6 years ago. But they're there again, and he's hitting the ball a mile as well. So Hoffman played really well, finished strong, I believe with a 65 last week to get into the top 10. And let's ride the wave. He's a very streaky player historically. Also historically does very well early in season and then fades badly late in season. He's a West Coast guy. So I'm going to go with Charlie Hoffman here. 125 currently at Will Hill. But again, look around. I know I say that every goddamn podcast, but I won't stop. I will not stop.
Wisest words. If you listen to anything in this podcast,
that's really – I couldn't agree more. So 175 at a couple of spots here. So that's where I'm at. That's my favorite pick of the week. It's my number 1 guy this week. 175 for Charlie Hoffman. And then a flyer here. This is the one guy that's not a long hitter, but he's a really good grinder, and he's really good at navigating courses. His course management is fantastic. He's become a better player year after year after year, and that's Dylan Fratelli at 200 to 1, which I believe we can find right here at William Hill. And a South African who is used to playing on grass like this. Again, the South Africans and the Australians do play a lot, on Kikuyu grass, and I do think that matters a little bit. It moves the needle slightly, but the more important thing for me is that Fratelli has done well in bigger events. He has a bit of a Kevin Kisner kind of feel to him. He's not intimidated by players. He will go and do his own thing. He was the first guy that decided to putt out everything with the flag still in the hole. That was very controversial, a couple years ago after they made the rule change. And he's that kind of guy, and I like him a lot. Also, can have a streaky side as a putter, more so than anything else. But again, ball striking, he's phenomenal. And he's not the longest hitter out there, but he is really good at placement, and he's a really heady, very intelligent, very interesting guy. A guy I've been following now for a couple of years. I really, really like him. It's one of those spots where just 200 is too high for me. My number came in at 160, and I just think that's too high for a guy with this kind of game, especially when he puts it together. It's he can play with the best. So Fratelli at 200, and those are my 4 in total of futures for this week.
Yeah, I got 2 guys here. First one I'm looking at is Brendan Todd at 125 to 1. He played so well down the stretch last year, and hopefully maybe just a couple of weeks off here we can get it back going here. And then, this is kind of the Jordan Spieth the mindset right here. I got Ricky Fowler at 100 to 1.
Yeah.
I mean, how often are you going to get that? So I'll take
There's a lot of people that are on Fowler after the odds have fallen, the bottomed out, it seems like. Yeah, that'll be fun.
I love it, guys. I think that's something we're all catching on to now. It's find those guys that fall off against the golfer pool is so good now and it's so deep. So they're going to fall off for a year or so sometimes. But guys like Fowler,
there'll be puckering buttholes in the sports books if Fowler has a chance on Sunday. I already know that he opened 175 at a very prominent offshore book and is currently like 110 or 105 over there now. They've taken some heat with Fowler. So that would be a fun one to sweat. I hope we get that sweat at least.
I mean, if there's a basement dweller that's proven he's been able to keep up with the Joneses, it's him. So
yeah.
All right, let's move into the matchups here. I'll give you Token Tony's matchups here. He's got two of them. First one, he's got Kevin Na over Russell Henley at even money. And his second one, he's got Colin Morikawa over Hideki Matsuyama at minus 105. John, what do you got in the matchup world here?
First of all, I echo Token sentiments with the I have Morikawa against Matsuyama as well. Morikawa has a couple top tens in his last two starts. However, he hasn't played in quite a while. But Matsuyama, he only has one top 25 in his last four starts, and that's big for if he's that big of a name, and you can't rattle off one top 25 in four starts, then I feel like you're falling off a little bit. And it's more about the fade than about how great Morikawa is, which he is, but it's more about the fade of Matsuyama. And then I did want to mention this. I did look it up, and you got Spieth at plus 350 for a top 20 as well. And maybe that's the right spot in hindsight where we're talking about how great this field is, and he might have a tough time with this field. At plus 350, that's a big number for a top 20, where as long as he just comes in right behind all of those guys I mentioned earlier, he's right there, right? But as far as I got one more matchup, I'm going to ride out Sam Burns. I'm going to ride this little streak of no missed cuts the last three against Charlie Hoffman, where he did have a seventh last week on the unique layout of Pebble Beach. He went withdrew, missed cut. I don't remember. Do you guys know if he got hurt or anything with two withdrawals in a row before the missed cut and then the seventh?
You mentioned a back issue. Yeah, he's mentioned a back issue. Again, he's one of the guys I follow. But then he took a week off, and he had a really nice finish. But
he had some chairman work to do.
Yeah, I'm not even sure.
Charlie Hoffman, he was on the board. He
did. Yes,
he had to make some rules. Is that why I had to withdraw?
Probably.
For matchups over here, I only have a couple, and it's unfortunately one of those that I wish I could, spout off that, would be a good viable number here. But I got this right around the Cantley time back on Monday. But and it's going to go against the whole Spieth train that we've been on. But I have Scheffler over Spieth. He opened plus 120. It went down to plus 115 pretty quickly, and then I decided that was enough before it keeps going. Looks like it's minus 110 both ways, both at William Hill here and at Westgate. I think the better player is Scheffler. I hate to say that. Obviously Spieth has won, multiple majors. If this was 4 years ago, certainly better player is Spieth. But I think currently right now, especially the fit, where we're at and the course is going to fit, I think, a lot better for Scheffler. He's seen it a couple times already. He's made a few cuts. His finishes are nominally in the middle of the pack, but I'm not too worried about that. He really kind of came into his own last year. And again, he hadn't
hit it that far though, and that might prove difficult on Riviera that we were talking about earlier.
True. He is not the longest driver of the golf ball, but he is incredibly accurate, long irons. So his proximity from 150 to 200 was seventh overall last year. So that is one of the things I tend to look at a little bit at courses like this when they're going to be having a lot of long shots in. So, yeah, I agree with you, John. He is not the longest hitter.
It wouldn't be a show if we didn't butt heads a little bit.
No, that's true. But, and everybody's longer than Spieth, so, who cares? So, yes. But
I probably said a couple times, "I'll take your action," then I lose on the other end.
No. I still got to do push-ups for you at some point, whether we do it this show or the next one.
Oh yeah.
Did we win the push-up bet?
Who's we? I mean, if you're talking about we as in you, you won. I'm not happy about that. But.
I know. I bet it, but I also bet it for Aaron and Token as well to watch.
Oh, I don't know who won in that regard. There was a separate wager that I was not a part of. But
he had Siwoo versus Sam Burns. So Siwoo missed the cut.
Oh, we did. Okay. There you go.
So John cleaned up. I think John
did well. He did very well. Okay. Very nice.
All right. Well, we'll set up a good time for some push-ups.
Definitely. Yeah, we'll get Token back on. And
Token's back on and we'll get the push-ups. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, I'm ready and willing whenever. I always pay my debts. So, and then over here, actually, Circa has this one. There's nobody else that I found with these two golfers matched up. So that's always kind of nice. There's a couple of books that sort of do their own matchups, comparatively speaking. There's some standard ones that are kind of throughout most of the books, and there's a couple, renegades that sort of do their own. So it's always nice to have a book like that. One of the recommendations I can certainly give.
Speaking of Circa, did you talk to them this weekend about their no handles?
I did not. I did not actually get into the book this weekend, unfortunately. So yeah, I do want to do that though, because I am actually very intrigued too. But I didn't make it down there, unfortunately. But
more push-ups.
Yeah. So the one I like, and this is going to make, I think, a lot of sense, especially because I just do not like, again, numerically or statistically where Watson has been. But we got Morikawa over Bubba Watson, minus 115 on the Morikawa side. Bubba had a really nice run last year for a guy that didn't win and didn't really actually come all that close to winning all that often. His ball striking was absolutely crazy good. This year, it has not been. He has not been all that accurate with his short to mid irons, and as always, the putting has let him down consistently. So that I don't think is going to change, especially putting on POA greens, which we've talked about. The people from the southeast, your area, John. I mean, these greens. I don't
like POA greens.
That's because they're fucking foreign and crazy. Like
they're not Bermuda. They're not Bermuda.
Yeah. No, they're just weird. They slant. I feel like the grain is
tough.
It is really hard, and I don't care about the spike marks. It's the grain for me. And,
totally agree. Yeah.
You get that little 4-footer downhill, left to right, and you always generally you're gonna miss it right because you're gonna leave it leave it low right there. Yes. But
I'm the same way. Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's just funny. Nate Lashley. He's just proving my point of how we should do this more with the PGA Tour and make it more unique and not these cookie cutter golf courses anymore.
Oh yeah, this is these last 3 weeks is about as good of a run as we get, I think. With
absolutely.
Really independent courses, and it's nice to see because we spend so much time in the South and the Southeast, and while there's a lot of great courses there, it's nice to see the West prominently shown. Because again, there aren't nearly as many great courses out west as the Southeast. I get that, I understand that, and I don't disagree. But it's nice to see these courses here too, because this is really a one of a kind.
They start to look the same. They really do, even like TPC or Doral or where they play the Honda Classic. I can't remember the name of that golf course.
It used to be Sugarloaf. I don't know where they play it now.
No, the Honda Classic. God, it's like TPC Marisol or something like that.
Anyways, is that PGA National?
It's a national, or I know it's one of the
PGA National. It might be PGA.
I know it's one of the PGA Tour courses, but like you mentioned, they start to look the same in the South, even wherever they play in Georgia and stuff like. Well, not Augusta, obviously, but I think we should get way more unique. Let's go up to Canada and play a cool course up there. See some
play the RBC up there.
They do, yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, RBC is good. Yeah.
And in Asia, we see a lot, some interesting spots in Asia. Yeah, I do think they should continue to keep expanding. And how about Mexico City, the WGC? I mean, that's fantastic.
Yeah, I love
unbelievable place. Yeah,
who was it? Goodness. Phil and JT coming down to the
yes.
JT holed out or something?
He holed out on 16, and then Phil birdied 17 and 18 and won.
Yes, man, that was an amazing.
They're playing at 7,000 feet in elevation. The ball's going a mile. It's wonderful. I love
it. That's a good idea, is to make it a little more worldwide instead of these golfers going to different tours. the PGA could really, commandeer that and
Expand a little bit.
and make their tour year round. So.
I think they're going to continue to keep going to new places. That's been talked about, I know, before, and I would not be surprised, Aaron, if what you're saying does continue to happen. I bet
these Aussie guys would love to host an event.
Yes,
I'd really love to see
Yep.
the Mexican guys really start pouring it in on tour. What you got Ortiz, you got Answer. There's a couple more, and I really want to see
Diaz.
Yeah,
Still out
Diaz.
there?
So
Yep.
I really love to see those guys win a couple times, just so we can sort of expand south and expand north, and it'd be good.
They've been close. They're both playing really well. I mean, Ortiz has had an excellent start to the season.
He has.
I think we're going to get one, John. I really do. I think these guys are really good. So yeah,
Tell them to go play the John Deere. They'll get one.
Will you stop shitting on the John Deere?
I mean,
I'm not shitting on it. I'm just saying you talk about a bad field. Bad field 2 weeks ago. The John Deere fields are usually worse.
Yeah, they're pretty.
Well, that's because it's a secondary event, right? Isn't that alongside the British or something like that?
I don't think it's the British, but
Or WGC?
it was one
How
of them.
great is the rule now that they have on tour where you have to play a certain, if you're full exempt every year, you have to play different tournaments. You can't just that's when Spieth thought he was going to make the tour championship, and he missed the tour championship, and he got fined because he didn't play enough unique tournaments. I love that.
It's the tune-up to the British. You're right.
Great rule for the PGA.
Okay.
Great rule for the PGA Tour. I remember seeing, I think it was Phil a few years back. He was playing somewhere just like in Central California, and it was just a second tier tournament.
Safeway.
Safeway. There you go, and get to see some. That's why it's so unique right now.
These fields have gotten better because of that rule, John. That specific rule has made these fields infinitely better over the last couple of years. It was a great thing. I agree completely. Yeah,
oh, Jordan Spieth could become a 3-time winner at the John Deere this year.
Yeah, I mean, okay. As for a non-one-off event like Puerto Rico or whatever, when there's dual events going, you're right. The John Deere is a weaker field. I'll give you that. I will give you that. You're right, Aaron. The Greenbrier doesn't usually get a big-time field either, but
no, you're right. Yeah.
But the John Deere it's a tough spot. The Quad Cities is kind of a weird area. It's not close to anything good.
I'm just saying, a guy like Tony Finau. I mean, Jordan Spieth. How Stella gets his groove back right there. John Deere Classic. So, all right.
Finau played out there and almost won a couple of years ago. Yeah. No, that's a good spot. I agree with you.
He probably finished second.
It was a top 5, I think. Right.
All right, so rounding out the matchups here, 2 weeks in a row, I've bet the farm on them, and I've gone 2-0. But I'm going to get a little dangerous here. I'm going to give you 3 matchups this week, and I am going to give you one empty the bank, but that's going to be my last one. I have Rahm over DJ plus 125. I have Brendan Todd over Lando Calrissian and Griffin at minus 105. And my empty the bank account is Tony Finau minus 120 over Daniel Berger. I think Daniel's got his win. He's going to chill out this week. So
I don't think he's going to start this week.
Did he withdraw?
I think he did.
Oh, that's a recent one. Wow, look at John with the up-to-date news.
Yeah, that was I was
well, that takes away my break the bank one.
It sure does. Yeah.
They gave me a call.
And you're the same guy that talked about. Well, DJ's withdrawn from the tournament last week when we started the podcast. Look at you, on top of it with the news. I love it.
Well, you know what? I give Daniel Berger much more shit.
Johnny on the spot.
DJ had to come from Saudi Arabia. I mean, freaking Berger had to come from Northern California.
I agree.
That's just bullshit.
I agree. It is bullshit. I agree with you. No, I'm not arguing your point. You're right. Yeah.
Well, I wonder how William Hill's going to grade that because it's still available and I've already bet it. So they'll probably just give me my money back.
I think they will. Hopefully quickly so that way you can put it on something else.
Yeah, I think I might just put a little bit more on Rahm this week. Plus
that's a good one. There you go.
So, all right. Tony, a special little treat here. I know that you have big plans for the week after the podcast wraps up here. And I know you're not a big Corn Ferry guy, but I'll let you elaborate on this a little bit because I'm excited for you.
Yeah, so get to go visit some family in Florida, so that'll be very exciting, and happens to be in the Bradenton area. And this week, the Corn Ferry Tour gets going again at Lakewood Ranch, which is basically Bradenton-esque. I don't know what city or town it is technically in, but yeah. So it's a fun little spot. Again, it's not the area I'm most familiar with, but it's a sort of retirement kind of quiet community, and there's a couple of courses out there, and yeah, so it's really nice. They're allowing patrons. And actually a relatively decent amount. No places to sit, no like close contact type of stuff, but apparently, I was been on the website now over the last couple hours, and looks like there's some ample space and places to go. So that'll be good. Yeah, so I'll be out there for a couple of days. I think I'm going to do Thursday and Saturday is the plan, and my mom has gotten into playing quite a bit over the last 2 or 3 years since she's moved out there. So she's actually really excited. She's been once. We went to the U.S. Open when it was in Maryland. We went once. And she really enjoyed it. I think just the walking around and like being outside. But now being a golfer, I think she'll enjoy it even more. So yeah, looking forward to it. And it's, again, for how fields are, this is a pretty good field. For the Corn Ferry Tour, there's a lot of names that are recognizable, that were week in and week out guys in the PGA Tour in previous years, and some great up-and-coming players, really, really good ones. The guys that should be getting sponsors exemptions and not David Duval and, some other bullshit that we've seen the last couple of weeks. Guys like Grayson Sigg and Davis Riley and, Taylor Montgomery. I mean, these are really good players that are in their early 20s, just out of college, a lot of them, and are fantastic players. So, I mean, again, as you alluded to, Aaron, I'm not much of a bettor. That's Token. It's unfortunate that he missed this podcast because he is the Corn Ferry guy.
I have some Corn Ferry picks from Token.
Well, that's good. That's good. So I'm just going to be quick here with my picks because I'm not going to bet very much. It's just kind of there for a little bit of action-based. The only one there's one I kind of like because he has been playing well on his one-off tour events. But the two guys I'm going to go with are David Lipsky at 25-1. He actually has a European Tour card, and he has for the last couple of years. He won out there in the European Tour last year. Kid from California. I'm sure he wished he was playing over at the Genesis this week, but he's going to try to work his way into the PGA Tour. His goal was to do it through the European Tour, a la like Brooks Koepka, and we've seen some other guys in the past, and he's close. He's very, very close. Once he gets to a certain part of a world golf ranking, he's going to be able to get probably more sponsors exemptions, and he'll be able to I think he's already got an invite into one of the invitationals upcoming, I think in June. So yeah, we're going to see more of David Lipsky, who's a good kind of grinder, but he's a really, really great putter, and he's great around the greens. 25-1. I know he's like third off the board, I believe here, maybe fourth or fifth, depending on, how you rank it. And, but again, for a guy that's probably going off 80 to 90 on the European Tour, I mean, I think that tracks pretty well. It's a good field here where we're at, but I mean, Lipsky has been there and done that, and he's seen a lot of different types of courses throughout. And this is the first time they're playing out here as well, so nobody's familiar with this course, from playing in previous years. And the other player I'm going to go with is Peter Uihlein at 50-1. Peter finally looks like he's turned the page. It looks like, he struggled the last couple of seasons with his PGA Tour card, in and out, just could not consistently make cuts. Finally being able to make a few cuts at the two events that he played this year in the PGA Tour. He played out in Europe and did not do well on one of the spots in the Desert Swing. But now coming back to the States, I think this is as good of a spot as we're going to get here at 50-1. This is a guy that when he plays his best is a 50 to 75-1 guy in a one-off PGA Tour event. He's that good. He's really talented. So I'm going to go with him at 50-1. And then there is one matchup I'm going to go with here at William Hill, and that would be David Lipsky over one of the guys I do like, Nick Hardy. The nice thing about Lipsky is at plus 100. Nick Hardy is a University of Illinois product who has struggled out of the gate here. He was one of the guys I think that was kind of picked to be one of the next best things, really good things. The problem with Hardy and it's one of those things that I know we've talked about here. And John, you've mentioned a couple of times as well. He tried to play the distance game a little bit coming out of school and increase distance, hit the ball a bit more right to left, which is so weird because everyone is trying to do the opposite, it seems like. And it has not gone very well. So Hardy was unable to get his PGA Tour card for his last 2 or 3 years. He's been trying to grind it away in the Korn Ferry Tour. He's close. I think he'll probably have enough points because their season lasted about a year and a half or so, and it'll culminate here towards the end of this season into the next year for the PGA Tour cards. He'll have a good chance, but we shall see. And talented player, but I don't think he's there yet.
I really don't like how they switched the way you qualify for tour. I loved Q School. I think it was great. And there's a great book by John Feinstein called A Good Walk Spoiled, and he goes through these guys trying to get on tour, and we don't even understand the difference between the PGA Tour and the Korn Ferry Tour. It's crazy. They talk about something simple like a courtesy car. They call them courtesy cars. So, at every PGA Tour event, you fly, there's a car waiting for you. So you already have a car ready right there. Something simple like that. And then these guys are all traveling together. They're all staying in the same hotel rooms. It's not as bad as it used to be. Thank God for Tiger Woods. But I really wish they still had that great event of Q School where all the pressure was on, and it's unfortunate. But hey, I'm going to come back with some Korn Ferry picks next week. I'm going to do my research, and I'm going to come through with the Korn Ferry pick. Okay.
The Token will be happy. That's good.
Yeah, there we go. We've got a Korn Ferry podcast.
Yeah,
oh my goodness.
I mean, that's where you're going to find value. A lot of the time, I would imagine. I remember when the WNBA first came out, the great bettors, they were betting all the WNBA because the value is so good on certain sides and certain nights, and the handicappers they had too much to do. They're dealing with football and men's basketball and hopefully golf. But,
the time of the year was big, I think, for the WNBA. The fact of where it lies, late spring into summer. Yes, I agree with you, John. It's it was a paradise for a little while, and then they lowered the limits big. And from what I understand, the really big value guys are not even involved anymore because they just can't get large enough bets. This is what I've been told. I don't know, but you make a good point. Yeah, if we could actually handicap this well, the problem is it's hard to get data from these smaller tours. Like even the European tour, it's hard. And so it's for me, and I'm so data driven, it's very difficult. But yeah,
no play-by-play, nobody play-by-play on the Korn Ferry Tour.
There may be something out there. I don't know. I haven't. It's a tour I've never dived full on into.
We all love the play-by-play, don't we?
We do.
It's the best tool. It's the best tool for golf handicapping. I can assure you. Tony's mentioned it 1,000 times, and I love it.
All right, so Token is on Taylor Pendrith at 30-1 and Sangmoon Bay at 100-1. Also, it is. So you'll have to go out there and sweat for him.
Yeah, no, I'm going to follow a few different players. I'm actually pretty excited about this. It's a field that I'm going to be one of the few people out there, I'm sure, watching this thing that really know who quite a few of these players are, but having seen almost none of them in person, it'll be entertaining for sure.
How humbling is it for a guy like Sangmoon Bay?
Yeah, good point.
To win on the PGA Tour, and now he's playing on the Korn Ferry Tour, and I'm trying to think as far
he's a long shot.
No,
yes.
as far as a handicapping perspective. That's where it'd be great to have have a caddy out there that sort of knew what was going on, and he could say, "Hey, Sangmoon Bay, he's pissed off because he's probably not on the PGA Tour," or he could be like, "No, he thinks this is good," be positive about it. A lot of that I think we can find on the Korn Ferry Tour, where you might see a guy like that. He might go crazy and get back on PGA Tour. You might fall off the face of the earth. You never know.
Well, he had to do that military stint in South Korea because they have a requirement to be in the military for a few years. That's why he lost his card. I mean, it's incredible.
I did not know that. That's a great point, and I remember that.
Yeah.
Now that you bring it up, my friend, one of my good friends mentioned that to me a few years back, and wow, you're really joggling the memory here for me. But now, wow. That's amazing. So What a great bet then. That's what I'm thinking.
I don't know. I don't know. He played
Can we get matchups on Sang Moon Bay?
I think he's too low to have a matchup attached to him at this point.
You may be able to find something on like MyBookie or 5 Dimes or something like
You'd
that.
have to go, deep.
Was there any wars over there? Oh, yeah, there's always a war over there. My bad.
That whole country is a war. So.
Is there a war? Yeah, there's been a war. Yeah,
constant. Yes, unfortunately. But I still think it's a little bit strange how they can't waive that for, someone clearly in a vocation, outside of the confines of the country, where I think it.
Because they still think it's 1945.
So, yeah, it seems very outdated. I agree with you. I agree.
Some other country had to do that with a soccer player. I think he had to go do his tour.
Hmm.
I can't remember what it was, but he did it. He did his tours. Or no, it was a hockey player. He did it during the pandemic. While he did his service while everything was.
You should be able to pick though. You should be able to pick whenever you do your service. So as far as Sang Moon Bay is concerned, he could sit there and play really well for a while, and then if he falls off, he's like, I sort of need a break from golf. I'll take.
I feel like becoming a professional athlete or a successful person should exempt you somehow.
I agree.
I mean, especially like if you're sending over, if this person is supposed to be like the pride of your country. Well, God forbid there is a war. You don't want the pride of your country dead.
Don't want him in the war,
Make him do his boot camp and then just make him be a golf teacher to the military over in Korea, right?
Make him a cook.
Yeah, no, not even a cook. Let him grow the game with the military.
Not while he's on the tour. Not while he's on the PGA Tour. No.
What I'm saying is, don't put him out in battle. Let him work on his game and teach people. I think if I was the general of the country, that's what I would do.
Can you see like Sang Moon Bay, like Tropic Thunder style, with 2 fucking Uzis and like the straps of ammunition, and just be like, "What do you mean, you people?"
Oh yeah, logos, logos,
the cigar in his mouth. Be like, I'm the dude playing the dude disguised as another dude.
Sang Moon, I love it.
Yeah.
Sang Moon Bay, baby. All right, let's move into Token Tony's DFS lineup, because even though he's not with us today, he still provided us with it. Guy left $2,000 on the table here, boys.
Token is so crazy. I love it.
All right, so here we
That's
go.
how you win those things, right? I mean, I would imagine.
Genesis Invitational DFS lineup, courtesy of Token Tony. First, we got Colin Morikawa at 9,500. We've got John Parr's boy Billy Sizzle at 8,300. Think about this, man. 8,300, guys.
Wow.
Yeah. Abraham answered. Abraham answered. Yep, he made the podcast.
Got it. Good.
Look at this. This is a who's who of Tokens hard-ons. Ready? It
That's
gets
why I
better.
left 2K.
Answer at 7,900. Siwoo Kim at 77.
Siwoo. Yes. He loves Siwoo.
Kevin Streelman at 74.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
He loves Streelman.
And Mr. Putter Divot himself, Nate Lashley, in the basement.
He went back to Lashley.
Yeah.
7,200. Left himself a 2-piece on the table there.
That's the most entertaining one we've heard from Token. So again,
I think so too.
It can be good. I'm not saying it can't be good, but
ride the wave.
That is fantastic. Right? Oh wow!
All right, Mr. Parr, wrap us up. Wrap the show up here with your one and done. We won't try to talk you off the ledge this week.
This is actually hilarious because we talked right before the podcast, me and Aaron. I was talking about my one and done. I was like, well, how do you just not go against DJ? Because when you're playing a one and done fantasy season, you want to take your money where you can get it. If you can see a lock, but throughout the podcast, you guys have made some good points as far as why not to take Dustin Johnson. Let's start off with the field, as Aaron and Tony both mentioned to me about how strong the field was going in. And then the second reason is what Tony brought up about how much money he just won. And he took a week off. So he took a week off. He won how much money on top of the 3.5?
I think he won another $1 million or something.
Something like that. Yeah, it was a $6 million purse, so probably about $1 million.
Yeah, he won 4.5 million. Took off a week, and he's playing the best field of the year so far. So I don't think I'm going to take DJ anymore. I'll save him for a major where we get an extra 25% on the money. And so I started researching after that, and then as soon as I start researching, my guy pops up with Tony. Hey, I was looking at him before you brought him up. He is looking good. Patrick Cantlay. I mean, it's amazing. I was just adding it up over here. His last 5 events, he's made a shade under $3 million. His last 5 events.
Yeah.
It's no 4.5 that DJ just made, but his last 5 events, that's a great little run right there. He's coming off a solo third and a solo second, and he's just on fire. I really feel like let's go ahead and take him there. And when DJ wins this week, you guys can throw it at me a little bit. Maybe I should do some push-ups or something like that, I guess. That might be a good way.
If DJ wins this week, you can do pull-ups.
Oh, I can't do a pull-up.
I can't either. I can't either.
But yeah, so I'm switching it up a little bit. I'm going to take Cantlay. Let's save DJ for a more lucrative prize pool tournament. I think it's a solid pick for sure.
Right on. Wow, what a jam-packed show. We've got you got a lot to digest here for Genesis Invitational. Super excited. Token couldn't be with us. He had picks. Tony Johnson's going to be at the Corn Ferry this week, so maybe we'll get some play-by-play out of him this week on Thursday and Saturday. But what a great show again. I want to thank the sponsors, obviously, as we sign off here. First and foremost, 12-Ounce Sports Network, where you can catch us and all the shows at 12ozsportsnetwork.com. You can catch us. Our podcast is available on lvsquares.com. It's on YouTube. Search Vegas Squares Podcast. If you want to listen to the audio version, it's Spotify. Search 12-Ounce Sports. Or Apple Podcasts, search 12-Ounce Sports as well. Our 2 title sponsors, Vice Golf and Fanatics. If you're looking for the gear for the sports fan or golfer in your life, visit our sponsors page at lvsquares.com and click those dedicated affiliate links when you shop. It helps out the podcast. It helps out the channel. Of course, the Heater bet tracking app, where you can track these golf bets on your phone. The iPhone only, Android coming soon. It's a track your live scores, in play, and your bankroll all in one place with the Heater Sports app. Of course, our local guy, who's not local anymore, he just moved to the other side of the country near Pinehurst, but Pro-Am Customizations is going nationwide. He is creating a standalone customized golf shop in North Carolina now, which you can still get your clubs customized from him. Message them at Pro-Am Customs on Instagram to get your order started today. Again, their Instagram tag is Pro-Am Customs, and tell them the Vegas Squares sent you. So, all right, boys, Token Tony usually tells us he's got the winner this week.
Oh, he does, yes.
So let's try to decide as we wrap up which one he thinks of his DFS is the winner. It's got to be Answer, right?
I don't know. Yeah, maybe.
Who would he pick?
Ed Riviera. I mean,
who would he pick? We're going to get a step inside the mind of Token Tony.
Not going to be Streelman or Lashley. I'll tell you that. Definitely not Lashley, with how we were talking about how he plays the ball. I guess they could work it around those little dog legs.
I'm not ruling out anything from Token, so
I'm gonna go ahead and say it. We got the winner this week, Abraham Answer at 7,900. There it is.
Yeah.
Nice, I like it.
We're gonna have a party for him whenever Answer actually does win.
Yes, absolutely. So, all right, for John Parr, for Tony Johnson, for the ghost of Token Tony, I am Aaron. We appreciate you listening. Catch us this weekend and every week with our golf podcast. Again, Apple Podcast, Spotify, YouTube, and lvsquares.com. We appreciate you listening. Good luck on your bets, and we'll catch you on the next one.